Welcome back, guys, to another video. To all of you aspiring entrepreneurs out there, this video is for you. If you're looking to start a recruitment side hustle or possibly even a full-fledged agency, I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering, how much does it actually cost? So me and Ryan are here and happy to break it down for you. And Ryan, if you guys are unaware of who he is, he's one of our main master coaches here at the Recruiter School. Very grateful for him to spare a couple minutes to help me make this video with you. So Ryan, before we get into it, any quick thoughts initially?
Yeah, I really like this topic here because this is a question we get all the time for folks who are starting out, or even folks who are looking to scale up. Like, what can I expect cost-wise? What does that budget need to be? So excited to break that down here.
Perfect, perfect. Just also keep in mind moving forward, we're going to give you a range per slide. The high level takeaway, guys, is recruiting is one of those beautiful things. Whether you have a team or you're a solo recruiter, you can still do it very, very affordably. We're doing our best to kind of give you as much information, as much steps here. It's up to you to kind of choose what makes the most sense for you. But we're here to hopefully kind of add some paint to that empty canvas to kind of give you a better direction, a better sense of what to do. So first things first, business registration and licensing, guys. This is pretty common sense. If a lot of you guys are starting a business or looking to do a side hustle to convert into a business, do it properly. I'm sure there's a lot of things that you can do without incorporating, without getting a business bank account, without doing a website, blah, 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 registering and licensing. But, it's very, very important. Hey, if you have the intention to do this seriously, then hey, go ahead and make sure you incorporate and register your business properly. So in the US, the cost really ranges depending on what state you are in. There's a huge, huge range. You obviously need to register your business with the government, get an EIN. You need to use that to open up business bank accounts and so on and so forth. But it's very, very, very affordable. In terms of incorporating, again, we are not professional tax accountants. And so please do not take our advice literally, but especially here in the US, a simple LLC would suffice. Or if you are, have the intention of making serious income and being able to hit minimum, six figures or more in the first year, perhaps it makes sense to look into an S corporation structure to get an additional tax savings. But again, please do not just take our word for it. Go to a tax, get another third opinion, and they will, of course, help you with that. This is pretty self-explanatory, guys. Just register, incorporate your business, and just make sure you do it properly.
Yeah, this is one that I know can seem daunting at times, but it's almost one of those where you get it set up in the beginning and then, there's not too much has to go into it after that. So just ensuring that you get your ducks in a row, get everything completed up front, and then you can focus on the business, focus on bringing in that revenue.
Exactly. Perfect. But the real truth is not everyone that you actually reach out to.
Are you struggling with getting responses from clients? Are you an established recruiter who is struggling to break six figures and beyond? Are you looking to start recruiting part-time and you don't know how? Do you feel burned out and stuck spending hours and hours each day in manual tasks like sourcing and outreaching and feeling like you have no time to actually run and grow your business? I am absolutely happy to announce that we have launched our own recruitment, educational, and coaching program to help you on your journey. We made sure that everything I've learned in the past 10 years, the tips, the strategies that really helped me build multiple seven figures of placements on my own desk with some of the best companies in the world will be included in there. We'll also be including things like how you can build an acquisition system that brings in clients every month to your agency hands-free, how you can maximize the probability of a positive close during negotiations, how you can automate and outsource your day-to-day operations so that you don't have to spend hours per day researching or sourcing, how you can figure out the new and modern way to scale your agency that minimizes risk and maximize your upside potential. And we've also included much, much more. The best thing about this is not only will you be getting amazing content, but we will also handhold you and be with you every step of the way to make sure that you are held accountable and you crush your goals. We'll also share with you our own tech stack, tools, and plugins we actually use, plus everything else we know about automation and AI to help you save time, work smarter, and not be a slave to your business. The exciting news is that we've actually rolled this out to a select few people earlier this year, and I'm excited to see them well on the way to multiple six figures, with some breaking $30,000 to $50,000 per month already. So if you're interested to be a successful recruiter that can dominate in any market conditions, make sure you click on the link below to chat with another member of our team, and we're happy to chat with you to see if we can help you out. Make sure you jump on this really quickly. See you on the other side.
Next one, website, domain. So long story short, website is important, but not as important as you may think, guys. So at the end of the day, when you start a recruitment agency, the steps are very simple. Find a client, find a candidate, put them together, right? When you have a website, that's great. That gives you additional professional credibility and validation in terms of optics. But the real truth is not everyone that you actually reach reach out to will check your website. In fact, only a small minority are going to check your website. And this also applies to even your LinkedIn as well. So no need to go crazy. No need to spend so much and no need to waste so much time to create that perfect website. This is something that you can, of course, always iterate over time. And whether you do it on really affordable, platforms like Wix or Squarespace or WordPress, the cost here is very, very affordable. I would honestly recommend going to like Fiverr or Upwork, find someone very affordable, whip up a simple website, with one or two maybe pages. And that's really all you need. Who are you? What values do you kind of believe in? What markets do you operate in? What roles do you specialize in? And how do people contact you? And perhaps maybe a tab for candidates, tab for clients. And that's really all you need.
Absolutely. This is one of those where it's important to have at least something to give you that credibility, but you don't need to go crazy on it. You can definitely keep it cheap, keep it affordable, even whip up something yourself with one of these sites here, in an afternoon. Doesn't have to be crazy, but at least having something to point to if someone's looking for it, that is the key point.
Perfect. And as you can see, the range here is pretty wide, really depending on what journey you want to go into. But I would only consider going the custom route or more of a premium route if you have some profits to reinvest. But again, this is really not going to push that needle for your business. What about equipment, Ryan?
Yes. So equipment, as with any kind of business, you need some kind of tool or equipment to get the job done. And so for recruiting, largely at its bare bones, you need a telephone and you need a computer. And those are the two tools that you need and to get you to where you want to be. Now, for a lot of people, and I'd argue most folks who are probably watching this, you probably already have both of those things. And you don't need some super fancy, top of the line, high performance computing power for the job, more of something that can run LinkedIn, run your emails, a couple of simple online searches, things like that. But just having a phone to be able to make calls with and a computer to do your research, maybe do video calls, that is really all you need to get started. So you can get some cheap equipment like this or free if you already have it. But, as time goes on, you may want to, again, as Preston said, reinvest your profits, kind of get some more tech or get some more equipment to help out with your day-to-day, whether it's, more monitors or, a nice keyboard or mouse setup. Again, nothing super intricate that needs to go in here, but having at least a computer and the phone is the starting point for your recruiting business.
I think the important thing here that I want to add is it's very easy to go overboard here, right? So you want to be as lean as possible. When you start a business, it's all about, hey, let's control the burn, let's keep the expenses low, and let's do what we can to make as much money, profit, and revenue as possible. And equipment is one of those things where you can start free, right? If you already have a decent functioning laptop or phone, as Ryan mentioned, you have connection to internet, that's really all you need. But where a lot of people start going wrong is after doing, a couple placements or they start seeing money in, then they start spending ridiculous amounts on all this, 5-star premium luxury office, which is completely unnecessary, right? Literally all you need is a laptop. And after 10 years in, the only thing I changed about my setup is I just have another monitor right here. That's it. Okay. The same IKEA table I used when I lived in New York City when I started, I still use now almost 10 years later. This black chair behind me, this is an IKEA chair for a couple $100. And I've used it when I lived in DC and Maryland. There's no need to just overspend here. Spend on things that really obviously help your posture and things like that. Make sure you can perform the best. But when it comes to fancy lights and fancy tables and made of premium wood, be very, very careful because that can easily push you back to a situation where oh my God, I just spent all my money. I have no savings, right? No nest egg. And now your business is in distress. So be as lean as possible. I remember when I started as a solo recruiter, I started with an old MacBook at that time. I think at 2015, my MacBook was still probably 2 or 3 years old. And I continued using my MacBook for probably another 5 to 7 years, right? Until I got a newer one, which is what I'm using right now. But I don't buy new phones. I don't buy new laptops every single year. That's just unnecessary, right? So even now I keep an eye on the finances, make sure that we're just not overspending when you don't need to. Next, software. So this is something that is important to talk about. The most common question is, how much does it cost to run a full desk as a recruitment agency or a solo recruiter or a freelancer? It's really the same answer. My opinion is that even if you had all the money in the world, there's no reason for you to spend more than a couple to several hundred to $500 or $600 max per month. You can obviously do a lot cheaper. If you guys know my story, I did this with zero money. I had to borrow my then fiance's credit card. I literally had no money. And the only thing that I used on a credit card was Recruiter Lite, which is still roughly around the same price it is today, right? That's it. And from there, I was able to make $500,000, right? I spent 170, I made 500, right? And that's still applicable to this day. You can still do things manually, but my goodness, if you have a little bit more money and you can invest in some software, it will allow you to move 10 times faster and be more efficient. So as you can see here, the cost range is pretty broad, but one big takeaway is if you want to be on a budget, you can totally do that and still be successful, assuming that you have really good fundamentals, which is something that we really teach a lot. The first 5 years of my solo recruiter career, guys, I had no software, zero. All I used was Excel and Microsoft Sheets, which is pretty crazy now that I think about it. It's because I have strong fundamentals, right? But hey, if you have even $100 or $200 more, you're way ahead of me, and you can of course reinvest that into other softwares that can help you move a lot faster. What are your additional thoughts, Ryan, on software?
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I think software is probably going to be the biggest lift or the biggest monthly, budget item that you have to allocate for when it comes to starting a recruiting business. Again, you don't have to spend a lot. You can do it super, super bare bones. But if you have just a little bit to reinvest in tools, these are going to make your life so much easier. So in this slide of the next, we have a couple of different categories of software that we recommend to folks who do have the budget for them. And we can kind of chat through those here one by one. The first one is that really for most folks who are either starting out or already have some experience, we normally recommend having at least one LinkedIn product, whether it's Sales Navigator, Recruiter, Recruiter Lite. For most roles, especially roles that are more white collar in the corporate world, LinkedIn is where you're going to find a bulk, if not a majority of your candidates. It's going to be where you find a lot of your potential clients. And so LinkedIn, love it or not, this is really the place that is going to get you so much business in your recruiting agency. And so, I've myself personally just used Recruiter Lite, $170 a month. It's just fine for what I need. I know Preston has used LinkedIn Recruiter in the past, which is, as you can see, quite a bit more expensive. It does add on a lot more features. But again, that's something that you can always reinvest in later down the line. Sales Navigator is more focused on sales teams, but we have had folks on our team use it successfully in the recruiting space as well. So you really can't go wrong with any of them, but you normally having at least one of them is what we recommend for folks who are in this recruiting space. And then second is an ATS or CRM. ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System and CRM stands for Customer Relationship Manager. These are all tools that allow you to be organized with all of your clients, all of your candidates, just so you can get a neat, organized, high-level view of where is everybody, what's my most important tasks right now, who do I got to follow up with, where is everybody in the process. These just help you ensure that you can be as hyper efficient as possible. Now, as Preston said, if the budget is really an issue for you, you can get by without these. You can just use a Google Sheet or an Excel spreadsheet just to track all these things manually. You can be successful with that, Preston was, but having just a little bit extra every month to invest in one of these platforms will help you immensely to be able to just accelerate your success. You don't have to worry about logging on every day, figuring out, oh my goodness, what am I focused on today? What do I got to prioritize? Who do I got to reach out to? Instead, it has it all listed out for you with tasks. You know where each of your deals are in the pipeline, and you can focus on moving them, moving the ball forward in the process. So at least for these two, always recommend having LinkedIn, some type of LinkedIn product, and then if you can, some type of ATS or CRM will help you out immensely on the organization side.
Perfect. And then we also have a part two here, Ryan. We also shared email automations, contact information finders. Any additional thoughts here?
Yes, these are ones that will help immensely. Again, nothing that's absolutely critical that you must have, but email automation is huge because it's going to save you so much time rather than sending 100 emails a day all manually. That would take you hours. Or if you can set up a couple sequences, get that done in 20, 30 minutes. So that is a huge one. And then contact information. This is going to be an area where I would almost recommend spending more on tools than, if you had to kind of prioritize, because if we're trying to reach out to candidates, you're trying to reach out to clients, you got to have their contact information in the first place, whether it's a phone number or an email, right? And so being able to use a software or a tool to get that contact information is going to be crucial to you securing that call, getting that client on the line, talking to those candidates, getting them in the door. So there's a couple different options. Here are three that we use now that we really like, and they all, plans that can be either free plans or all up to hundreds of dollars a month. But these can be good starting points for you to think about what software for you to use. So I'd recommend when you're thinking about what your software spend should be, first think about what functionality do you want. Do you want LinkedIn to help find folks? Do you want a contact information finder to get their details? And then figure out what's your budget and then go from there. Once you know your budget and what you're looking for, you can put those two together to find the tools that you need that match the budget you're willing to spend.
Yeah, all great points. And again, you can just scale this as far as you want to go. But even again, you want to buy every single product out there that actually has an impact in terms of the lift of your performance of your desk. It shouldn't really exceed, honestly, like 500, 600 to the max. I mean, maybe you can push it to 1,000, but then you're just, I'm assuming at that point you have a lot of like revenue to reinvest. So you're just sitting on a lot of cash and you just want to buy everything that's available to you. But, really just spend on things that matter. And again, you can do this in a very lean way, and just happy to share with you some of the products that we use. We of course use many others. And this is something that we of course go a lot deeper in with other videos, but also specifically our coaching program where we're just honestly here to help you. Now, the next slide, office space. Here's the thing, guys. If you're a solo recruiter or a freelancer, you really do not need office space, right? Office space is cool. It's a great way to network. But a lot of people also do it. I think that for some people, they just can't work at home and they just have to get out. I get it. There's a time and place and there's reasons for it. But a lot of people also get offices for like the ego boost or optics, or they care that, what their friends or family thinks of them. They have a perceived, maybe they're coming off more successful than they actually are because because they have an office space. Here's the thing, guys. You want to be smart with your finances, especially from day one. You got to be lean as much as possible. And the easiest way for you to literally skyrocket your expense is getting an office space. Thankfully, there are solutions like Regis or WeWork, for example, here in the States, where you can get office space relatively affordably. But even with a one-person office, where you have access to it every single day, every month, you're still looking at minimum hundreds, depending on the state or city that you're in, up to thousands, depending on, again, the state or city that you're in. So I would really only consider getting an office space if you're making consistent revenue that you can reinvest and it actually makes sense, right? If it actually has an impact on your mental well-being, or like just, you just really like that social environment, you need to be around people for you to work your best, you need to get out of the house, you absolutely cannot work at home if your life depended on it, reasons like that, right? Then office kind of makes sense. But day one, you got to cut these expenses as much as possible, really only focus on the important stuff. What can I do to get clients? What can I do to get candidates? And make it happen. When I started in my living room slash dining room slash kitchen, living in a very small apartment in Queens in New York City. And you just put your head down and you just make it happen. And then to me, I think things like office spaces are a luxury that you can do if it makes sense, but also like, if you're able to kind of perform and you're able to make that revenue to invest smartly. But again, if you want to go in the office space, guys, it can go from like hundreds to thousands, depending on how custom you want to go, the square footage, all that stuff. But most freelancers right now, solo recruiters, we can absolutely work at home. Ryan works at home. I work at home. I love working at home. And if you want to kind of maybe get out every now and then, look into a WeWork with more flexible options. You can go in there once or twice a week and it's affordable. But again, all of this is contingent on just like your budget, your finances, and there's a case-by-case basis. If you have all the money in the world, go get an awesome office space if that really is something very important for you. If not, think about it again. Next, coaching and training. So guys, I love this. Whether you start a business, whether you don't, or you have a career, like life is all about constantly learning, right? And when you're in a situation where you're thinking about working for yourself, you are not only hopefully a master or tactician in whatever career, so in this case, recruiting, like you understand how to recruit very well, but you also now have to be a business owner. And business and the landscape of business changes constantly. And if you think that you know it all, your business, there's going to be a cap that it won't be able to get past. You have to be humble and you have to always understand what's happening on the economy, the competition, the market, and adapt and learn as you go, because things constantly change even more and faster now with technology and AI advancing everything, right? So with me, just because I've been in recruiting for 10 years doesn't mean I'm an amazing recruiter that's going to know it all for the next 10 years. I'm constantly learning. We're always testing out new stuff, but I can tell you how many times, Ryan, how many conversations have we had with recruiters who've been doing it for 5, 10, 20 years? Like, you know what? I know it all. Like, I don't need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this actually happens a lot. And if you're thinking about becoming a freelancer or like a solo recruiter or something in your own agency, that shouldn't matter. The real important question is, can you actually go out there and make a living and a good living for yourself? Like, what's your revenue? Is it minimum 6 figures, which is still pretty low on the income spectrum? Or can you do like an average income where it's maybe 150 to 200? I think if you know everything, me and Ryan believes if you have strong fundamentals with the right software, with the right work ethic, there's no reason for you not to be able to make minimum 6 figures, multiple 6 figures to $500,000 plus, because I've done it. And I know many people who are doing it. I know many people who are doing it by themselves, doing way more than that. And so if you're coming to us or you're like, hey, I have 10 years, I have 20 years, I don't need to learn anything, but you're struggling to make 40K or 70K a year by yourself, there's a huge misalignment. So it's really important for you to invest into coaching and training and just always be a sponge as you go along.
Yeah, I agree. And even though Preston and I are sitting here sharing our knowledge, making these YouTube videos, which we love to do and we enjoy, we're also still learning ourselves day in, day out. We're never going to sit here and act like we know absolutely everything there is to know about recruiting, because the landscape is changing every single day. And so just as we are always trying to be sponges and soak it up and always improve our own recruiting game, that's what we would recommend for other folks as well. We're learning alongside you as well. And so that's the mindset for the folks that are going to succeed. As Preston said, if you just feel like, oh, I know it all, that's it, your decline is going to be coming soon. So always keeping an eye out to see what's out there. How can I be better? What can I improve on? What can I do to just be better than I was yesterday?
Mm-hmm. And whether it's our coaching program or another's, that's totally fine. Just be a learner. But me and Ryan, only several months after launch, super proud of our students. We are absolutely obsessed with results and success. That's all we care about. So if you learn what we do and you actually put in the work, there's no reason for you guys to find the results that you want, right? And we're with you every step of the way through our one-on-one coaching. And so coaching is something that I love. I've paid for a lot of coaches and mentors myself throughout the career. It helps you accelerate the success. You can figure it out by yourself, but what's the alternative? alternative? You want to wait another month, 2, 6 months, 3 years to figure it out? Or do you want to learn it all in the next 30 days, right? And that's where coaching with the right people and mentoring and training comes into play. Now, next slide that we quickly also want to talk about is team. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are thinking about, oh, if I'm starting an agency, I kind of maybe want to hire. How much would that be? Same thing with the office space. With recruiting, the right way to do it, and this is just our opinion, the right way to do it is do it well yourself first. This is a sales career. It's a sales organization. It's very different from other types of businesses like making software or e-commerce. Like you have to achieve mastery yourself, and then you can lead and manage people effectively moving forward, right? Not to mention, like the cost of hiring someone is exorbitant. So like if you're not making any money or you don't know how to make money, why would you start spending money and hiring people? You're setting themselves up for failure because you can't teach them well because you don't even know how to do it. And then you're skyrocketing your monthly burn for your business, adding more distress and anxiety to you. Like it just makes no sense. But I'm assuming if you have reached to this point, you are hopefully a freelancer, solo recruiter, or a proven biller when it comes to the agency world. And you're like, I want to hire someone. So if you want to hire someone, there's a lot of different ways that you can do it, from spending hundreds of dollars, part-time, maybe one-off specialists, to thousands or tens of thousands, depending on who you want to hire, right? If you want to scale, you can do freelancing, salary, part-time, full-time. In terms of how you want to pay, it's really up to you on what makes the most sense for you, the business, and the person involved. It could be commission-based. It could be salary-based. It could be a draw where it's kind of like a salary, but then they have to hit a certain threshold of sales. And then, you can then unlock perhaps other milestones like bonuses or commissions. Or it's a combination of all of the above, right? It's really up to you on what you want to do. But again, I hope that you're only here at the right time when you're making money or you have a lot of money to invest. But even so, if you don't know how to recruit yourself, it's going to be very hard for you to manage and lead a team to do that. We talk to people in larger companies all the time, or people who are like, you know what, we're starting a business and I have 5 employees. I'm like, awesome, cool, good for you. What's your revenue? Like, we just started, we're not even making like 6 figures or 50K. I'm like, what are you doing hiring people, right? So I don't blame them, and I don't blame you guys if you're thinking about that. I think when you initially or traditionally learn about business, everyone envisions in their mind an office space with employees and a team. Like, I get that. So people think, okay, to be successful, I need an office space, I need a team. But in recruiting, it's very different, right? You got to learn it first, then work on building out your team. And if you want a team, great. You can have a huge team, or you can really enjoy that sweet spot in recruitment agency where you really just need a small team that's well-oiled, that's optimized with the right software, that has the fundamentals down, and you could be making multiple 6 figures to millions a year, living an amazing life. So do it correctly and don't rush to add like additional stress to you just because you think that's the right thing to do.
I agree. And the last thing I'd say on that too is it's never a good idea to hire out someone to do something that you just don't want to do, or not that you don't want to do, that you are scared of doing. We have some people we talk to who are like, oh, I'm scared of the whole sales side, the business side. I'll have someone else do my business development for me. And you can do that, but like going back to your point earlier, Preston, about you need to be able to train someone to do the job. You need to be able to do it first before you hire someone else out to do it. You're setting yourself up with a weak foundation if that's the route you go. So if you choose to scale and hire a team, awesome, but make sure it's to hire them to do something that you have experience doing and you can train them to do.
Don't rely on your team to be the holy grail silver bullet to solve your problems. A lot of people are like, oh, I stink at client acquisition. I'm just going to hire someone. They're going to solve my problem. I'm going to have leads coming in. If you don't know how to do it yourself, you can't teach them. But if they supposedly have some sort of track record and experience, you got to go really deep to see if they can actually deliver, because most of the time they don't know what they're doing. And not to mention in 2025, client acquisition is completely different than what it was even a year ago, 2 years, and 3 years. Things are changing constantly and you got to do things perfectly, right? So don't have like a holy grail silver bullet approach, because that's going to end up wasting a lot of money and a lot of time. Now, when it comes to the next slide, guys, as much as it is to talk about like the tangible software, office, and the team stuff, there's a lot of hidden costs that you might not consider, right? And just to kind of make sure you're aware of it, starting a business is going to be one of the most wonderful, fulfilling, and stressful things that you're ever going to do in your life. And to help maximize the probability of being success, you have to go all in the beginning. There'll be long days, long hours. You have to make sacrifices. Of course, there is a chance for you to make successful business from day one without sacrifices. But hey, think about any successful entrepreneur and think about any time that you've heard them talk, whether it's on social or a podcast. A lot of them, there's a huge similar pattern in the early days that they just were absolutely focused and relentless, and they just did whatever they had to get their business up and running. And that's what I did in the beginning with my agency, even though I was a solo recruiter at that time. So just to kind of cover this very, very quickly, there are a lot of hidden costs you may not be okay with, or you may not be considering, aside from just the finances of how much I need to incorporate my business and software. And we just want want to make sure you're aware of it. Number one, social, guys. Most of us here live a traditional life where, hey, we have career, we have 9 to 5, 10 to 6, whatever. And then 6 to when you sleep is like your time where you can have fun, right? When you have a business, the business hours is now when you wake up to when you sleep, right? And when you dedicate time going out with friends, when you dedicate time going to the movies, that's time you're taking away from trying to make it happen with your business. And so the first thing that you're going to have to be okay with is saying no to your friends, saying, hey, I'm focused on this right now. This is just the chapter of life I'm in right now. I'm okay with that. You guys need to be okay with that. And you have to be comfortable for the first time saying no to parties, to clubs, to travels, to vacations. Like, you can do that, but you're going to also hurt the chances of your business actually being successful or taking off with momentum. You can travel all you want, take vacations, but for the way I see it, I like to do these things once I hit a certain milestone so I can actually feel good about it, right? The next, guys, wellness, right? It's super stressful. There's a lot of anxiety. You're working in an unknown and nebulous environment. You have no idea how next week's going to turn out, let alone the next couple of days. You have no idea how next month or this year is going to turn out. It's like the level of stress that you have, the baseline has been elevated working for yourself compared to someone who doesn't work for themselves, right? So it's super, super important to take care of yourself. And a lot of this work as recruitment, all we need is like a phone and a computer, and we're just sitting down most of the time. Your back's going to start hurting. You're going to stop eating. You're going to start maybe gaining weight or something, right? You got to like find whatever you can to balance it out, eat well, play some sports, do some walks, and really take care of yourself if you want to continue to show up and do your best in the field. What about like physical and mental stuff, Ryan?
Yeah, and this is something I know we've spoken about in past videos as well, is you're going to experience some highs, you're going to experience some lows, and it's going to test you, from a stress perspective, from an anxiety perspective, it's going to be tough at times. And so just ensuring that you take care of your mental health as well, whether it's, getting enough sleep or eating healthy or, meditating, going for walks, whatever it looks like for you, ensure that those self-care activities don't stop once you become a business owner, because again, that's what's going to keep you rejuvenated. That's what's going to keep you healthy and able to keep going forward. You don't want to get into the process and you stop taking care of yourself, and then you have to stop the business a couple months in. It's all the long-term game, right? Do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're healthy and you're excited, you're motivated for the long term. And that's what's going to get those results to come rolling in.
Don't forget, guys, it's completely temporary. This is not a permanent thing, right? But the reason why a lot of people will start businesses is they want to be able to enjoy the fruits of their labor. They want to be able to enjoy just different results in a lifestyle because they're putting in that risk and hard work at a magnitude most people don't in the beginning. So you just got to be okay with that. Go all in, and hopefully your significant other, your friends are more of a support system than people who are getting FOMO or making you insecure or angry or trying to pull you away from it. Hopefully they're supportive. That's, I think, ideal. And then aside from that, you got to take care of yourself, because physically, mentally, emotionally, you're going to be going through so many swings you haven't really experienced at this scale. Just make sure it's coming, practice meditation, make sure you have time for yourself, and you'll be a-okay. So to kind of wrap this all up, just to kind of go over what we talked about, starting a recruitment agency, guys, can be super expensive, but what we're trying to make clear is you can also do it very, very lean. And as long as you're calculated and you're very systematic and you do things very, very smart. Whether you're a solo recruiter, freelancer, or recruitment agency, this can be one of the best decisions and most fulfilling businesses and careers you can actually do. So we're really excited to hopefully, give you more clarity in terms of the right next steps, and happy to make more of these videos. Ryan, any last thoughts about this video?
I think we covered it all. As you said, you can scale it as high or as low as you'd like. And it really is a business that'll pay you off not only financially, but also in the reward of being able to help others as well. So it's an exciting business, and would love to just continue to help folks keep growing in this space.
So if you guys are starting a business or you have been doing so, drop us a couple questions down in the comments. We'll get back to you. Excited to continue to hear about your success. It's a brand new year, 2025. Let's make it the best, guys, and appreciate your time. We'll see you on the next one.